Steam just quietly changed the rules of the game, and hundreds of adult titles disappeared overnight. If you've been following the gaming world lately, you might have noticed something strange happening on the world's biggest PC gaming platform. Games that were available yesterday are suddenly gone today. And the reason behind it reveals a much bigger story about who really controls what we can buy online. Here's what happened. Valve updated their developer guidelines with a new rule that sounds innocent enough on paper. They now prohibit content that might violate the standards set by payment processors, banks, and internet providers. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, within 24 hours, SteamDB tracked hundreds of games getting delisted from the platform. We're talking about entire franchises vanishing into thin air. The interactive sex series alone had 54 games removed. Games with titles containing words like incest, slavery, and rape were the primary targets. But this isn't just about Steam cleaning house. This is about Visa, Mastercard, and other payment giants flexing their muscles and deciding what digital content you're allowed to purchase. And Steam isn't the first platform to bend the knee. Remember when OnlyFans nearly banned adult content back in 2021? Same story. Banking partners threatened to pull the plug, and the platform almost transformed overnight. Fansly went through something similar, having to restrict certain content to keep their payment processors happy. The timing of this change is particularly interesting. Some analysts are pointing to the UK's Online Safety Act as a potential trigger, but the real pressure has been building for years. Ever since the 2020 scandal involving Pornhub, where the site was found hosting illegal content, payment processors have been on high alert. Mastercard even created special registration requirements for anyone selling adult content. What makes this situation even more complex is how vague Steam's new rule is. They mention certain kinds of adult-only content without explaining what that means. This ambiguity has developers and users worried about where the line will be drawn. One concerned user on Blue Sky pointed out that queer content often gets flagged as explicit even when it's completely PG rated. There's a real fear that this could extend beyond just the obvious targets. The gaming community's reaction has been mixed, to say the least. Some people are glad to see what they consider shovelware removed from the platform, but others are raising alarm bells about the precedent this sets. As one Reddit user put it, today it's adult games, tomorrow it could be any game with sexual content that payment processors find objectionable. What makes this situation even more frustrating for many is that Steam has robust filtering tools. Users can already hide adult content, filter out specific tags, and control exactly what they see on the platform. So why the sudden crackdown? The answer lies in the immense power payment processors wield over digital platforms. When Visa or Mastercard threatens to stop processing payments, platforms have little choice but to comply. This situation reveals an uncomfortable truth about our digital economy. Payment processors have become de facto content moderators, deciding what's acceptable based on their own standards rather than local laws or community values. In Japan, this has become such a significant issue that lawmakers are actively working to address what they see as foreign companies imposing their values on Japanese businesses. The removed games aren't necessarily illegal. Many of them have been on Steam for months or even years without issue. But now, because payment processors are uncomfortable with the content, they're gone. And while you might not miss games like Daddy-Daughter Incest or Sex Adventures Incest Family, the principle at stake here affects everyone. Think about it this way. What happens when payment processors decide that games featuring violence are too risky? Or when they determine that certain political themes make them uncomfortable? We're essentially allowing financial institutions to become the arbiters of acceptable content, and that should concern anyone who values creative freedom. Some developers are already looking for alternatives. Cryptocurrency literally was designed to solve this exact problem, allowing transactions without centralized control. But for most users and developers, crypto isn't a practical solution yet. Steam remains the dominant PC gaming platform, and losing access to it can be devastating for indie developers. The irony is that Steam built its reputation on being relatively hands-off when it came to content moderation. Back in 2018, they famously announced they would allow everything except illegal content or obvious trolling. That philosophy is now being undermined not by Valve's choice, but by external pressure from companies that process payments. Industry observers are watching closely to see how this plays out. Will Steam find ways to work around these restrictions? Will developers migrate to other platforms? Or will we see a gradual sanitization of content across all major gaming platforms as payment processors tighten their grip? For now, if you have any controversial games in your Steam library, they're safe. The removals only affect the ability to purchase these games, not to play ones you already own. But the message is clear. The era of Steam as a free-for-all marketplace is coming to an end. This isn't just a gaming issue. It's a glimpse into a future where a handful of financial companies can effectively control what content is available online. When payment processors can override platform policies, developer freedoms, and user choices, we need to ask ourselves who's really in charge of the digital marketplace. The full impact of these changes won't be clear for months. Will mainstream games with sexual content be next? Will other controversial themes come under scrutiny? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The relationship between payment processors and content platforms has fundamentally changed, and we're all going to feel the effects. What do you think about this situation? Are payment processors overstepping their bounds, or is this a necessary step to clean up digital storefronts? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.